Hello, my name is Nathaniel Randolph, and I will be talking about the history of records, the world that keeps on spinning. In half a century, the material of vinyl has been implanted in the collective consciousness of people all across America for its recording qualities. But before vinyl, there was shellac, a common material that has been forgotten by the population as a relic of an older time. Through learning of this material, we can see its importance in how it helped shape the industry of records as it is today. Let's start at the beginning of how shellac is produced. Shellac is an organic material created from the secretion of a bug known as the Kira laca. It is secreted by the females to produce offspring. These bugs originate from Southeast Asia and primarily from India. They were collected by poor, in-debt workers who would scrape the secretion off the trees. This was a labor-intensive process which would provide minuscule pay for the workers. Because of shellac's inorganic nature, this material has a wide range of uses, from the mundane to the dangerous. In day-to-day life, shellac can be used as different varnishing, but is primarily used as wood varnish. It has also been used for polishing different instruments, such as brass ones like tubas and trombones. Shellac is most commonly used in nail polish and the coating of fruit to preserve its lifespan. One surprising use for shellac was in the production of military weapons. These military items ranged from signal flares, the coating on artillery shells, and explosives. But most importantly, shellac was used in the production of shellac records. Shellac was an important step in the history of music, but it did have its flaws. Shellac records were popularly used from the late 1800s to the early 1940s. On a phonograph, shellac records would play at 77 RPM, or rotations per minute. This speed would not be beneficial as it only allowed for up to a total of 10 minutes of playback on the record. Another disadvantage of shellac was that it was very brittle. If a shellac record was dropped, the record would shatter into pieces, causing the record to become unusable. During the 1930s, a new material for records came onto the market, and that was vinyl. This material was introduced by the RCA Victor Company. When compared to shellac, vinyl records excelled in every way possible. They ran at a lower RPM of 33.5, which allowed for more music on a single vinyl record compared to shellac. For instance, shellac only allowed for 10 minutes of total playtime, while vinyl was able to play up to 21 minutes of music on each side of the record, and totaling for 42 minutes of playtime. While shellac was collected from Southeast Asia, vinyl was able to be synthesized directly in the United States, which helped save costs on production. Vinyl was also an immense improvement in durability compared to shellac. It could take a beating and still be functional. Although vinyl excelled in every way compared to shellac, there was one problem. The vinyl record was first released at the worst time for consumption in U.S. history. That was in the 1930s at the start of the Great Depression. As many families in America were trying to make ends meet, they were in no need of purchasing a new device when they were already struggling financially. Another problem that caused vinyl to fail at the time was due to hardware constraints. With a shift from 77 RPM to 33.5, consumers would be forced to buy new hardware that many could not justify purchasing. With the dawn of World War II, supply lines would be strained all over America. This included the production of music. Because of how important shellac was in the weapon-making process, Roosevelt imposed a 70% reduction on the production of records. This would limit the production of shellac records significantly, as 30% of America's shellac was used by the record industry. During the war, there were requests for civilians to donate their shellac records for the troops to boost morale. Fundraising efforts would be seen in community parties where donations of records were taken at the door for entrance to the parties. Through these fundraising efforts, the volume of records owned by the public diminished greatly. This would provide a second chance for vinyl records to thrive in a limited shellac America. Eventually, shellac records would be phased out slowly and would be replaced fully by vinyl. The history of shellac may seem peculiar, but it holds importance in the history of music. This material is a stepping stone to the modern music industry of today. It shows the progression from fragile methods of recording to more durable and permanent solutions, which have caused records to survive for over a century. The shellac record encapsulates the period perfectly. It provides a focal point for which history can be viewed from and allows a different perspective on this tapestry of events that we call history.